Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 takeaways episode from the Bill Oberst Jr. episode this past Monday. This is one of the most unique episodes that I've ever done because of the field that the person came from, the industry that the person came from as an actor, and also the perspective that he took on the industry that he's in. He talked about how he would not recommend moving to Hollywood to basically anybody because he knows how brutal the grind is, and he thinks that a lot of people go into the industry seeking the money and the fame, not because it might necessarily be their true passion. And I think it was just really cool that somebody was able to be so honest and so open about how brutal it was and all his challenges and failures and obstacles and the self-limiting beliefs that he had, but how he was still able to overcome a lot of those things and kind of make it on the other side of it, if you will. So if you have not listened to the episode yet, I'm telling you, you're really going to want to listen to it, especially if you're somebody who's trying to discover what your passion is. If you're somebody who's trying to chase their dream and you need a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of guidance. But let's get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is experiment with your passion. I think a lot of us, and I know me included, sometimes think that if we go into a certain job or we go into a certain industry or we go down a certain lane, that we think it's going to be too hard to pivot or think it's going to be impossible to change or adjust our career path. But that's just not the reality of the situation. And I think a lot of us know that deep down, but I think still that limiting belief or that limiting situation holds us back from experimenting with things that we would experiment otherwise if we didn't have that belief. He talked about how he made this analogy with cereal. If you don't know what your favorite cereal is, when you go into the cereal aisle, it does you no good to just spend hours after hours or minutes after minutes in that aisle trying to figure out what you're going to pick. Pick one cereal, go back that week and try it. If that's your favorite cereal and you pick it out right away, awesome, stick with that one. But if it's not, there's nothing saying that you can't go pick a different cereal next week and then try that out. And that's the same analogy with the job. Try one, experiment with one, give it your full 100% effort, energy, and focus. But if it turns out that that is not your true passion, there is nothing that says you can't go and try something else. Now, it might be hard to go try something else, but there's nothing that says that you can't, and you got to realize that and not let those kinds of beliefs hold you back. Number 2 is you'll never be ready. He talks about how there's always a baseline of knowledge that you need when you're going into a certain situation or maybe going into an experience or going into a job. We need a baseline of knowledge and education, maybe a baseline set of skills. But the only way that you're going to fully know everything is by getting yourself into the situation. By fully submitting yourself and committing to it is the only way you're going to be able to answer questions, because we don't know a lot of the questions to answer until the questions are thrown upon us after being inside of the situation. And I really liked the way he described what you should feel like before going into something. He said, wait until you're reasonably competent and a little scared. Because when we're reasonably competent, we'll kind of know the direction to start. Well, we might know some questions that we need to try to answer, but when we're reasonably scared, we have that sense of urgency. We have this just kind of fire lit inside of us to figure out more, to ask more questions, to learn more and be willing to grow, and you have more opportunity for growth when we have that little bit of scared inside of us. Number 3 is going to be make your vision the next step. I think this is one of the ones that I'm going to really try to start taking action on now, because I know for me, I like long-term goals and I like long-term vision, and I think there is a place for that. But he also talked about how when you make these grandiose goals and if they don't happen, you get discouraged and you may stop. So it's important to have vision. It's important to have some sort of direction. But what needs to be on the forefront of your mind, what's constantly you need to be reminded about, is the next step, the next action, the next 10 minutes, the next day, whatever it is, the next hour. Because when you make these small goals and you complete one, you get that hit of accomplishment. You get that hit of progress. And what's the biggest motivator for us? Progress, success. So when we have one success, we take our next step and then the next step. And he talked about how he talked to himself every single day. He was like, just put your head down and keep going, Billy. One step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Because he kind of had this thought sometimes where, man, is anything ever going to happen for me? Because he had this grandiose vision. So he had to just kind of recenter himself around the next step. Now, we have a bonus takeaway today, and it might be my favorite takeaway of all of them. Is what we talked about at the end of the interview, in being interested in others. People don't remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel. I mean, that's one of the most important quotes that we can use in our everyday lives, not even in just work, but just building relationships in whatever shape or form that might look like. Because when we become more interested in others, when you learn more about the universe. So when you become more interested, you learn more. When you learn more about the universe, you actually become more interesting yourself. You become more valuable and you become more available to other individuals. A lot of us sometimes when we're having conversations with other people, and this is what Bill said, is that we're seeing how that person can help us. We're trying to rank that person and how valuable they can be towards our success. We need to drop that selfishness and be available for that person. Figure out what that person's goals are. How can we support them and their goals? Because when we support others and their goals, that's when our goals are going to come true. I know that sounds hokey. I know that sounds maybe overly optimistic, but I promise you, I know if I've experienced that a little bit myself with helping other people achieve their fitness and their health goals and things like that. It's like, if I'm so focused on helping them achieve their goals, I will feel so much fulfillment and satisfaction outside of that. So again, my takeaways. Number one, experiment with your passion. Don't think that if you go down the wrong rabbit hole, that it's ever too late or that you can't pivot, because there's always that opportunity. Number two is you'll never be ready, because a lot of us hold ourselves back by not knowing all the answers beforehand, but realize you're going to fully be able to answer all the questions necessary after submitting yourself fully into the situation. Number three is make your vision the next step. Yes, big goals and long-term vision have a place in our lives, but make sure they're not always on the forefront. Make sure what's on the forefront of your brain is the next action step, the next minute, the next hour, the next day. And that bonus takeaway number four is be interested in others. When you help others achieve their goals, when you help enough people achieve their goals, you will achieve yours. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. If you haven't listened to the interview with Bill yet, go back and listen to it. It is an awesome one. What a great perspective on an industry that he's in. So go out there and feel out what your passion is, everybody, and have a great rest of the day.